Alright, so we're going to do another version of a composite loop. This is going to be really buggy. Not fuller and flashier like this loop, even though the composition of the fly is very close so far, no jungle cock. I'm going to try to make this one as buggy as possible. And what we have here so far is orange and olive. So a little orange and olive polar flash composite loop in back. Real simple. We've seen them before. And a couple flank hackles of orange ostrich, the OPST spotted orange, with the tips modeled all black with a felt pen. Okay, and then back here at this point, I didn't put any flash in this fly because the point is there's enough flash in these composite loops and I'm trying to make it buggy. Okay, so we're going to do a dubbing loop right at this point. And then we'll go all the way forward. And the total length of that is about a 1/2 inch, maybe 3/8-ish. Let's get this again. Just a little bit of dubbing wax. Push this out of the way. Alright, so let's make a truly sparse, buggy composite loop. Okay. Now, what I'm going to use in this case are turkey feathers. And turkey feather is obviously very buggy. But which turkey feather is the question. This is a turkey tail feather, but this is the shorter tail up towards the base, up by the rump feather. This is a turkey tail feather, the longer, actual long tail feathers. Super beautiful, long, buggy hackles. Look at this side over here, nice and stout and lovely. And I think this is where we're going. It's right here. I'm liking these a lot for this. So I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to do some dubbing. Like this. I'm going to go with this olive ice dub. And again, pull it out through my fingers, get it roughly all the same length. All the same length. And then a lot of these you can break them in half. Some of them you can't, and you have to cut them. Set that aside. This will be the first half of the composite loop. Nice thin little scrim. I might actually add a little bit to that. It wasn't too evenly broken. Right across the middle here. Okay. Roughly about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches substrate dubbing. Okay. A little Senyo Predator wrap, cut off the braid. And because we're going buggy here, we want to keep the amounts of these short and minimal. Because we're going to use a few different colors in here to kind of kick up this buggy effect. And I'm going to use all of this. I'm laying it on here 60-40 on my center line, as you can see. The ends are nice and random, which I really like. Okay, let's take the same thing, cut this off, slide it down to the ends, pull it apart, and I just open my grip a little bit, slide it around, lay it down 60-40. Pinch it with one finger. Some of them fall out. I just put them back randomly. I'm not worried about it being perfectly even. I like the variation. Okay, so that's the first layer. Now we're going for buggy and sparse. So let's think that and keep that premise rolling here. Oops. Okay, so I'm just going to take this, what I want of it, probably this whole top 1.5 inches, 1 3/4 inches. I'm going to cut it out of here.
1.5 inches, 1 3/4.
Yep, 1.5 inches, 1 3/4 worth, right there. Cut it out. You can see how fat that stem is. And the reason I chose this is because of how flat and wide this fiber is on this turkey. It'll make a really buggy, prominent, straight up and down hackle. And that's what I'm trying to achieve here. If someone wants a buggy fly, I'm going to make them a buggy fly. Okay, so length is important because you can make it too long where it'll be kind of inappropriate and it won't look buggy. It'll just look laid back and pointed, kind of slicked, like a greaser. So that recipe is based on, it's hard to say really. It's kind of what I'm looking for is something that's about that long finished. So I need to take some length off of here. So I'm going to slide them back through my fingers. I'm just going to cut off about a solid 1/4 inch off the entire length of this pile. Get that out of the way because that's contamination. Okay, slide my fingers back to this end, pulling them apart. Okay, and here's the glory trick. Oops, oh wow, see that? That was awesome, and it stayed put. Don't cut that out. Composite loops are tough. All right, so I'm gonna take this toothbrush and I'm gonna brush this back this way, and I'm gonna be pretty rough about it. And the cool part about this is what it does is it breaks the ends apart because this is a real fibrous feather, and it separates the individual fibers, and it kind of evens them out a little bit, so it makes it easier to put in our composite loop. And I notice I'm laying this about 90-10, just a slight overlap, about 1/4 inch, right over the dead center middle of the whole party. And these will get spread out a little bit when we get down to business in the actual loop. Okay, and then here's just the top leftovers. We're going to go right over the top of that. And a little bang for our buck that I'm changed my mind on. If I have it. I don't
So
know.
that's iced Sanyo Predator app and turkey.
Turkey tail feather, and then a little bit more ice stub, and then I'm going to add one other little element here that I just thought about that I like. I want that for my head. Okay. Copper ice stub. Oh yeah. Buggy goodness. Okay, this is a brand new pack, so it's going to be kind of weird. I have to kind of detail this. I can see this is all one length. I'm going to add that back to the pile. I'm just going to set this on there over the top of this now. Spread it out as good as I can. It's just a copper accent to the whole equation. I really, really like it.
Is that like what holds it all together?
Yeah, it's kind of, again, it's kind of like a scrim over the front of it. And you could go again, you could actually use like, okay, for example, I'll just show you another example of a scrim. This eye stub, again, is like the white. It's very soft and angel hairy, so it works really good as a scrim, as a final layer. Minimal material makes less is always more. So see, this is the same way. It's shorter naturally, but it's really soft and fluffy. And I can add that to it, no problem, to help capture everything we just put in there. Give it a little love smash. Okay. And there's a composite loop. Now, is that what we need to finish? Yep, that'll do. Plus the head material. And I'm just going to go black, black, black on the head. This is black UV eye stub, pulling it out to get it close to the same length. As you can see, the ends are fairly close to the same length. In the background of the white, I'm just going to set that aside. I'm going to get a little bit more of this orange for the first turn on this hackle. Pulling it out the same length. This will be the first thing I add to this dubbing loop after I put some dubbing wax down the entire length of it. Except for I should say to the pinch point. Push that up once I'm done. That's not smart. Okay. Orange dubbing first. About a 1/2 inch. Be 1 full turn roughly. The composite loop with the turkey, the senyo, and the eye stub, and the dubbing loop. You can see it's poking through a nice clean quarter. Now let's put in the head material. A generous length of black, but as you can see, not a lot. There's not a lot there. Okay, so let's pinch the loop together. And as you can see how I have the loop, I have it trapped in around my middle finger, and I use my index finger behind it to open and close it with my thumb. So now I'm pinching it, sliding it up, and now I've got it trapped underneath my thumb, and I'm putting my index finger behind it. And I'm just going to do a little separate, get a little bit more distance and substance out of this. These turkey fibers are super flat, and if you have them too clumped together, they won't spin a good dubbing loop. Run up and down the length of it once or twice, poking in to your finger, and that'll separate them out. And notice that they moved over just a little tiny bit, ain't no thing, because I want them poking through about that much. There's the total loop. Dubbing tool. Pinch and spin. Watch it spin. The turkey here is what I'm watching. Everything else can be picked out. I want to make sure that it's got a nice tight bite. And this stuff is not supposed to be all that long anyway. A little bit fatter than long. Look at that gorgeous turkey. Copper accent, black head. Just take a little bit of time to pick it out again, because the turkey is super stout, and the more you pick, the tighter the loop gets, the better the whole effect will be. And I like to let as much of the substrate, the very first color I put down through as I can. Okay, so I'm going to brush this now too. I'm going to be a little rough on it, a little mean to it. Both directions. I love this feather. Now this is where I learned how important water was. Okay, so when parting turkey, find your neutral point, and you can kind of turn it a little bit, but you can see that there's kind of a natural part right there. And I'm just going to run my finger down it. See how I did that? All I did is put pressure on the loop and pushed it one way. Okay, now I'm going to use that as my parting point. And trust me, you need it, because this is a super stout feather. And once you get it wrapped down in the loop, it's going to make a beautiful buggy hackle. But to get it down, you got to be a little creative here. And this one's kind of long, so, but it's parted, and I'm happy with that. I'm going to give it some more moisture because it needs it. Okay, all the way to the head, and then let's take this and wrap this back, give it a little bit of moisture so it stays out of the way, and we'll start going forward. And remember, all you want to do is remember, don't trap the first station. Just wrap it right in front of it, nice and tight, and on purpose. And the turkey hackle, what's cool about it is just keep folding all the little short ends back and that'll help support the short ends, the hackle in front. And that's where the water is such a glorious thing. I actually taking them too short, dude. I'm just gonna run it out because it's gonna work. Okay, but finish that off. All right, so let's pick this out. And right down the flank, nice and easy. Look at that, poof. I want to be free. Because it needs to be freed up because it's all been trapped because it's all wet, and pinned down, tangled, spun on itself. And it needs to be released. Good, solid forward brushing always does it. And then back. Does that look buggy, Ben? See, very buggy, senor. And the truth is that forward turkey hackle could have been longer too. If it was longer, it would have been stouter in the front and a little bit prouder than this one is. And you can minimize the amount of dubbing and make them thinner. Shorten this material up and make them shorter, or the hackles and make them shorter.